Good morning, everyone. I am Dina Marie Flores, and I will be introducing to you our topic, which is the biodiversity and the healthy society. So, here is our chapter outline. And now, I will be discussing to you what is biodiversity. So, biodiversity refers to the variety of life found on Earth. It includes all living organisms such as plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms. This diversity can be seen in the different types of species, the wide range of ecosystem they live in, and the unique characteristics of each organism that makes them different from the others. So every place on Earth, from oceans to forests, from deserts and cities, has its own mix of living things. So biodiversity is what makes the nature rich and full of life, which with countless forms, sounds, colors, and behavior. It reflects the amazing range of living things that shares our planet.
So moving on to the three different types of biodiversity. So we have species diversity, genetic diversity, and ecosystem diversity. So what is species diversity? So species diversity is the variation of species in a habitat or in a region. So we all know that we have different kinds of species. And also these species are grouped together as families based on their shared characteristics. So yes, we have different kind of species like plant species, animal species, aquatic life, animals, and so on. And these different species play significant role in our economy. For example, there are plants that contains medicinal properties that play crucial role in the medicine industry and even in our homes, such as herbal plants. And next is genetic diversity. So genetic diversity is the variations of genes in a species. So this means that a species having a different populations, each having a different genetic compositions. For example, if we have, let's say for example, Regine and Dinah, and Regine is taller than Dinah, and that is because of the genes that they have. And relating it to other side, for example, in forests, because of genetic diversity, some species are able to resist the changing conditions or environment, which lead them to become more productive or stay productive over time. And additionally, in agriculture, the GMO or the genetically modified organisms, where scientists alter a specific genes of a species in order for it to increase crop yield and also resistant to insect pests. And next is ecosystem diversity. So ecosystem diversity, it is the variety of ecosystem in a given area. So ecosystem is a community of different species and their physical environment interacting together. For example, like desert, forest, grassland, oceans, and so on. And this different ecosystem support the life of different species. Moving on to the importance of biodiversity. So based on the picture, it is all about economic importance because biodiversity is our foundation of different resources for the manufacturing of food, medicine or pharmaceuticals, clothing to wear, and even housing fuel. So for example, we have crops, our fisheries and forests, which are really rich sources of our food that sustain our daily needs or the nourishment that we need. And additionally is income or the monetary benefits through tourism like national parks or sanctuaries. For example is the Mount Pulag in Luzon, which is really known for its sea of clouds and also rich of biodiversity. And also there we can look the endemic species of bamboo, which is the dwarf bamboo. So it is very important for us to have a good knowledge about biodiversity for a sustainable livelihood.
Good day everyone, I am Gisami Hinaras and today I will be discussing what threatens biodiversity. As we all know, biodiversity is a variability of all life forms on Earth and it is very important for unhealthy environment. However, human activities are causing a lot of biodiversity loss, not only here in our country but around the world. So according to the California Academy of Science Group 2014, the human-caused threats have two categories, which are local factors and the global factors. First, we have the local factors. In local factors, we have land use changes. This refers to the destruction of natural habitats and how humans change the natural environment to use it in farming, buildings and industries or other activities. Some example of this is mangrove destruction. Mangrove destruction are trees that grows near the sea and protect the coastal areas. Second is pollution. Pollution is when harmful substances are released into the environment, damaging the air, the water, and the land. It makes the environment dirty, unsafe for plants, animals, and even for humans. Some example of this is sa water pollution, which is magamit ng chemicals from farms like fertilizers or mga pesticides because it can flow into some ponds and rivers that can damage sa plants and animals. Second is the air pollution, which is smoke from many factories and vehicles nga release of harmful gases, and then mga human waste dayon and sa light pollution. Third is resources exploitation. So there is a resources exploitation means that overusing of natural resources like animals, plants, and minerals for human needs, often faster so they can naturally recover. Example of this is illegal logging, overfishing, catching too many fish faster than they can produce that can cause fish populations to drop. And also hunting is when people capture or kill some wild animals. Fourth is introduction of exotic and invasive species. Invasive species are animals, plants, or organisms that are not native to a place, meaning they came from other country or region when they are brought into the new environment by accidentally or purpose. They can bring a big threat native for other species. Example ani is golden apple snail or kohol. Ang kining kohol, it destroys rice fields by eating young plants and also competes with native snails and damage wetlands. They can bring diseases and eat native species. Imbis na maka-help siya sa plant is maka-destroy na noon siya. Next, we have the global factors. In global factors, we have the climate change due to green gases because it alters temperatures, weather patterns, and habitats. Many plants and animals can destroy adapt quickly enough that these rapid changes leading to loss of species, shrinking populations, and destruction of ecosystems.
So, hi everyone, good day. I am Ashley Langgamin and I am going to tackle about keystone species and biodiversity hotspot. So first, we will tackle about what is keystone species. In the natural habitat, there are organisms considered as keystone species or also known as species. It refers to organisms or species on which other organisms largely depend. So one of the example of keystone species is the Philippine monkey-eating eagle in the large Philippine island of Luzon and Mindanao. This species is considered as the top of the food chain and it also acts as a predator to its prey such as snakes and rats. So other examples are the leopard, sea otter which preys on sea urchin that leads into helping kelp forest and coral reef which protects marine life. So keystone species are important for maintaining the health and diversity of the ecosystem. They have a disproportionately large impact on their environment, influencing the abundance and the type of other species, often acting as a critical component of the food web. So without keystone species, ecosystems can experience significant changes, even collapse, even collapse, as their absence can disrupt the delicate balance of interactions between organisms. So the removal of the keystone species will greatly affect the ecosystem, which destroys the natural habitat and also the species who depends on them. So next is we will tackle about biodiversity hotspot. So, biodiversity hotspots are biologically rich areas but with species threatened by extinction, which is according to the University of Tennessee at Knoxville 2020. So, basically, it is an area where we can see species but cannot be found in other areas. There are two criteria used as basis in identifying the biodiversity hotspot. So first is the area must contain at least 1,500 endemic vascular plant species. So an endemic vascular plant species can only be found in a particular area and not anywhere else. So the second criteria is at least 70% of its original area has been lost by destruction. So currently there are 36 biodiversity hotspots found in the whole world, including Madagascar, Sri Lanka, New Zealand, Japan, and of course the Philippines. So Philippines is one of the biodiversity hotspot because it has the two criteria which is the basis to become one. Example of the species found in the Philippines are Philippine eagle, tamarao, Visayan warty pig, and also the Philippine crocodile. So, biodiversity hotspots are critical for biodiversity conservation because they contain unique and threatened ecosystems that provide vital ecosystem service, including climate regulation, clean water, and also the food. They are also crucial for human survival as they provide the natural resources and services that sustain our lives.
Today, I will report the topic on the Philippines as a mega diverse country and a biodiverse hotspot. Our country is ranked in the top 10 with the largest number of species. Also, the Philippines is one of the top priority hotspots for global conservation. The Philippines as a mega diverse country is one of the select group of nations which harbor the majority of Earth's species. Example is this: the Philippines contains 70 to 80% biodiversity indice, meaning a large portion of the species can only be found in the country, with over 72,777 species have been recorded in the country, as half of them can only be found in the country. The Philippines as the biodiversity hotspot, it supports many species. One of these species are the monkey-eating eagle or the Philippine eagle, which was referred in the keystone species. It's important to our biodiversity as it controls certain species like monkeys, birds, lizards, etc. Also, there are certain there are also certain species which is very important to our biodiversity. Although it's under threat as increase of illegal logging, illegal mining, urbanization, climate change, and pollution. Also, our government and non-NGOs are working together to conserve our country's biodiversity.
And I'm going to discuss to you the Philippine policies for biodiversity conservation. The first policy is the Philippine Constitution, Article 2, Section 16. The government must make sure that everyone has the right to a clean and healthy environment, working together with nature instead of ruining it. Example of this is banning of big factories that affect the nature. Second policy is the Philippine Constitution, Article 12, Section 5. The government must protect the indigenous people's rights to their ancestral lands so they can continue living their way, preserving their culture, livelihood, and tradition. Third is the National Integrated Protected Area System or NIPAS Act of 1992, Republic Act 75A6. The law sets rules to protect important natural places like forests, oceans, mountains, and wildlife areas. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR, is in charge of making sure that these places are managed properly. And fourth is the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act of 2001, Republic Act 9147. This law protects wild animals and their homes so they don't disappear forever. It stops people from hunting, selling, or hurting endangered animals and plants.
The fifth policy is an act to prevent, deter, and eliminate illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, amending RA 8550 or the Philippine Fisheries Code of 1998, RA 10654 of 2015. The fifth policy focuses on enhancing and strengthening the protection of our marine resources against fishermen who abuse it. The sixth policy is the Philippine Mining Act of 1995 or RA 7942. So the sixth policy is a policy that helps the government regulate and partner the companies who mines the mineral resources while still having the environmental protection and community involvement. The seventh policy is the institutionalizing and implementing the reforms of the Philippine mining sectors or the EO 270 as that 2024. So just like the name implies, this bill aims on institutionalizing and implementing the reforms in the Philippine mining sectors for responsible and sustainable development. The eighth policy is the National Policy Agenda on Revitalizing Mining in the Philippines of 2004 or the EO 270 S.2004. While the 7 and 8 seem similar, the 8 policies practice responsible mining for attracting investment and environmental protection.
GMO, or genetically modified organisms, are crops or animals that have or had their genes changed by the scientists to grow better, resist pests, or survive tough weather. Some people support them because they help grow more food, use fewer chemicals, and can be more nutritious. But others worry about the possible health risks, harm to the environment, and how big companies control the seeds and farming. Even though the science shows that the genetically modified organisms are safe to eat, the debate continues, with many people asking for clear labels so they know what's in their food.
And these are the possible effects of GMOs to human health. So the first concern is the toxicity. This is where a GMO may produce substances that can be harmful to human health, especially if eaten in large amounts. So example is the BT corn from the Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria. Though it is considered safe for humans, but still, some studies suggested possible effects like inflammation and changes in organ sizes when exposed to high dosage. So we also have the genetic hazard. It shows the possibility of GMOs affecting human genes through long-term exposure, although the risk is still theoretical and not proven. Example is the unintended genetic effects. Sometimes inserting new genes can cause unexpected changes in the plant, possibly leading to the production of new substances that could be harmful if consumed by humans.
I will now continue the discussion on the topic of how does GMO impacts diversity and environment. Number one, a direct toxic effect on non-target species by insect-resistant GMO crops. For example, is this bees and butterfly, which can be affected by GMO crop, as they can pollinate, for example, corn, GMOs, tomato, potato, and etc., which can directly affect them or kill the insect. Number two, indirect effect to other species by reducing the wildlife source of food because of the GMO crop. One of the example is this aphid, which if you kill off the population. It can indirectly affect the food supply of the ants, as if it is one of the food supply for ants, or flies, which also a food source for certain spiders and wasps.
To continue in number 3, the repeated use of chemicals on pest-tolerant GM crops can cause insects to become resistant to those chemicals. As a result, pest populations can grow larger, making it harder to control them and potentially increasing crop damage. Number 4 is the GM crops can change the natural predator-prey relationship in the environment. This distribution can cause an imbalance in ecosystem, affecting the biodiversity by reducing or increasing the certain species unnaturally.